Now we know what a class is and what a class instance is. We discovered how to write a constructor and how to write a destructor. In this video, I'm going to add a couple of new elements, more particularly the syntax to add new attributes, the variables that will be in the class and member functions, the functions that will be in the class as well, but also and more particularly, how to refer to the current instance of our class from the code of this class. This might sound complicated worded like this, but you'll see that it's very simple in use. We have the same example as in the previous video, our sample class. Inside of it, we have the declaration of our constructor and our destructor. As you can see, I also declared an integer variable that I named foo. It will just be an attribute, a variable in our class that will be usable when we instantiate our class. In the same way, you have a bar brackets function with no return value and not accepting parameters. This function will be usable too when our class is instantiated. Let's discover a new interesting peculiarity. That will be referencing my current instance to be able to use my member variable or my member function. Let's discover the code of our constructor. Let's think about it. We know that a constructor is a code that will be executed when our class is instantiated. So if our class is supposed to contain data like a foo integer, it'll be interesting to allow all these attributes to be initialized in the constructor, to be used afterward. That's the example I'm showing here. It's very naive. We'll see later that there are smarter ways to do it. Anyway, it works, so let's take a look. Here we have a constructor. The constructor sample class, not accepting any parameter. I still have my output when the constructor is called. It's the same code as in the previous example. Here I used a new keyword, this. That's something you might be familiar with if you have some experience with other object-oriented languages. You might know about the self keyword. That's exactly the same in C++. This is a pointer on the current instance. If you want to assign my foo variable of my current instance the value 42, for instance, I'll just write this line, this minus greater than foo equals 42. Why dash greater than and not dot? I told you, this is a pointer. It means that I need this operator to use a pointer to access the foo member of my this class. This must make you think of structures in C. That's normal. It's exactly the same thing. Then we see I can output the content of this variable. This line is very simple. You understand it well. I call the foo attribute of my current instance that I will output. I guess it will output 42 if everything goes well. With the same logic, but with a little difference this time, because you couldn't do it directly in C. In C++, it becomes possible to call a function directly from an instance pointer. Here you have a bar bracket function in the sample class. Here it's not about pointers on functions or more complicated syntax that will come later on. For now, I just want to call the bar bracket member function of my current instance. The rest is just as simple. Here we can see that the code of the destructor is exactly the same as in the previous video, and this is just the code of my little bar bracket member function that will just mention that the function was called, so nothing complicated. By curiosity, I'm showing you the content of my main bracket example. And you can notice that it's exactly the same as in the previous example. Let's compile this example. It's compiled. Let's run our code. What do we see? I start by instantiating my sample class. So my variable, that is actually my instance, will allow me to call my constructor. Sorry, the construction is made before the variable is present. Sorry, I'm getting confused. The code of the constructor is run. I can see that the first thing was to output constructor called. So I do have this output. Then, remember, I set the variable present in the class. My foo attribute to the value 42. Then on the following line, I output this dash greater than foo. We can see here that I do have 42 in this dash greater than foo, which is excellent news. Then I had to call to the bar bracket member function. So here we just add a call to the bar bracket function and we had this simple little sentence. Then it was the code of our constructor coming to an end. So we go back to the main brackets. There's nothing else in the main brackets, so the main bracket is coming to an end too. Remember, we call the destructor, actually it's called automatically. Then the little message of our destructor is output. So nothing complicated here. What you should keep in mind is that from the code of a member function, whether it's a constructor, a destructor, or any function, to refer to your current instance, you want to use the special instance pointer named this. That's it. I'll let you meditate on all this. I'll see you in a moment in the next video.